Recording in progress.
And Commissioner.
Thank you, Commissioners. I'll entertain a motion to resume the regular Board of County Commissioners.
So moved. Second. Commissioner Luis Lopez.
Yes.
Commissioner Hess.
Yes.
Commissioner Luis Lopez.
Yes, and it is now 10 a.m. We're going to be entering into the public hearing. 7A application VR 2024-001 by Mr. Robert Starks, Living Trust and Freedom Outfitters LLC, requesting to vacate a portion of County Road 105.6, starting on the north boundary of section 1-35 south-61 west, then south approximately 2,037 feet to the end of the road, and the ranch house and shop. At this point in time, let me go ahead and put some procedures in place. Anyone that is wishing to testify in this particular public hearing will do so in a respectful manner. These Board of County Commissioners will get any conversation only that is germane, entertain a conversation germane to this particular public hearing. So anyone online or present that wishes to do that, you will have to be sworn in. And at any point in time that we have any questions, once you are sworn in, we would ask that you remain in the room for any follow-up conversation. Having said that, I'm going to call on Mr. Robert Bob Lucero and Madam Council, would you please, with the San Luis County Land Use, would you please raise your right hand, sir, to get you sworn in?
You solemnly swear under penalty of perjury the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes.
Please state your name and position.
My name is Robert Lucero. I'm Planning and Land Use Director. We have before you a request for a vacating of a portion of County Road. I think it's 105.6. The request was originally, they were talking about closing the whole road off, but because there's a school section in there, they informed the applicant that they couldn't block that off. That school section does have a small family cemetery on it, so he was okay with requesting the gate be put up right on the north end of section 1.
Mr. Dora, can we have a map that we can put out there, please?
It'll take just a big.
That's okay. That's okay. I want to make sure that for anyone that is our viewers and for these Board of County Commissioners, as we take a look at the request road to be vacated, one of the personal questions that I'll have for you later on will lead to exactly where that gate is going to be located.
Commissioner, let me screen share this so folks on our virtual audience can see this also. And I believe we are set.
Thank you, sir.
This is 105.6 here.
And so, Mr. Lucero, is that where you have the cursor? Where is the proposed gate?
Right on that section line, right there.
Right there.
Yeah.
Okay, and the property that it is, as we look here, to, so the accessibility would be, it wouldn't be blocking any outside party that would be needing to go on that particular county road.
Correct. The only portion where he wants to put the gate is between section 1 and section 36. That portion leads to the house, the ranch house, and his barns, storage facilities, and they are absentee landowners. They're not there all the time. And he says what people tend to do is they come in and they turn around, because that's as far as they can go is at the ranch house, so they turn around and go back out. So he's wanting to put a gate right there between the school section and section 1 where his house is.
Where is the house located there, Mr. Durankamp? Can you point right there? Okay, thank
Can
you.
be done at the end of the county.
Okay. And that's the 2,037, there you go, we can
Yeah.
see that. The 2,037 feet that we understand is being requested.
Yes.
Okay.
And right on the school section, there's a small Lucero cemetery on there. But it's on the school section, so they'll have access to that.
And where is that school section located on this map? Right there, okay. All right, so that would be still accessible because the gate is going to be
Yes,
further. Okay,
Still accessible.
all right. We have the notes from planning and land use.
Planning Commission made a recommendation to go ahead and vacate that.
By way of information, we have a list of all the people that apparently were notified.
Yes, we sent certified letters to the two landowners prior to our planning commission meeting, and then it was required in the Colorado statute that commissioner's office and they don't have to be certified, but they have to notify the state land board and I think Mr. College, the two landowners. I didn't get any response back from any of them. So.
No opposition?
No.
Mr. Lucero, thank you for being here with us, this information presented. So the 2,037 feet, and maybe this is road and bridge question, but it's very minimal to the impact of the dollars from PILT. Mr. Dornkamp's not sworn in yet, but my records show it's about $2,300 a mile that we're receiving from PILT for this, so this is not even going to be a third of that or around that dollar amount. Question I have though is if this property is ever to be sold, does the property owner, or the property owner here, I guess I'm here, okay, so we'll ask you that question, but to be aware of if it's to be sold and wants the county to bring it back to a county road, it has to meet all of the compliance of road and bridge before the county will accept it in the future if they were future owners or this particular owner would want to reestablish it as a county road. It has to come up to county standards. So that has been alerted to the petitioner.
I have not informed you of that.
Mr. Lucero, there is on the descriptive language of this, and I will follow up, and I want to swear in Mr. Dornkamp on this question as well. There is some state land that is perhaps behind the property or adjacent to the property. Mr. Dornkamp, go back to the map again, and would you please highlight where that state property is located, and if this is going to be infringing upon anyone attempting to access that state property. Because, you know, again, right now, we read that the owners have a lease on the state property, but again, the state property, the lease could be expiring, it can be transferred to somebody else, and then we have the private citizenry not able to access that particular state-owned real estate out there. So if the gate was to be approved, located up at the junction right there, the state property is right there. How are any private citizens with that gate in there, Mr. Lucero, going to be having access to that public land?
The gate won't hinder anybody. The state school section will still be, the public still can access the school section.
There's another gate. Okay.
Commissioner, the main county road is 8.8, or this might be a different number up here, but
I'm sorry, Mr. Bergkamp, I need to swear you in.
Yes.
excuse me, Councilman.
Do you solemnly affirm on the penalty of perjury the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Would you please state your name and position?
Phil Dorcamp, Los Angeles County Administrator.
Proceed, Mr. Dorkamp.
But the main county road is this one here. This goes back towards Trinidad. This here goes back towards Branson. So anybody wanting access to this school section would do so prior to the board making this decision. We propose making this decision off this main county road to access the school section. If there's other government-owned property back behind here, I am not aware of it, but I don't think that historically they've used 105.6 to access that, those properties back there, if they do exist. So,
And thank you, Mr. Dorkamp. That was going to be my follow-up question. What if there was anything behind that private property? How many acres are we talking about there, Mr. Lucero, on that private property that is?
School section is 640
Okay.
acres. Yeah, and I don't think you're getting into any, because I think that's the New Mexico line that he's pointing to there.
Okay. All right. Commissioners, any questions for Mr. Lucero at this point in time? Please stand by, sir, and let me call if there is the owner of the property wishes to please come up, sir. I'm going to ask you to please raise your right hand, sir. Counsel?
You solemnly affirm under penalty of perjury the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes,
And please state your name.
Cody Hazen.
Mr. Hazen, what is your relationship to this property that we are discussing this morning?
I'm the managing member for Freedom Outfitters, which is 20% owner of the property.
Okay. Let me begin by once again asking you the same question that I asked Mr. Lucero. As far as if that gate was to be installed in there, is there any public land behind going through the road that you are requesting that perhaps needs to be accessed through, or has there been access to this point to any public land?
No, sir, there is a half section off of the ranch property, and there's an easement from the neighboring owner to go through a completely different road, but not through the 105. It's deeded from where we're proposing the gate all the way to the state line. It's our deeded land.
Okay. The other question, I know you are leasing, or at least the 80% owner, I guess, or between the 80-20, they're
Yes.
both leasing the state land.
We have the state grazing lease and the state recreational lease.
Very good. And what is the length of years that you have on that particular lease?
I believe it's 5 years. I'm new to some of this Colorado state lease stuff, but I believe it's a 5-year lease.
Okay. And if the lease is not renewed under your management or leadership, is there going to be any challenges by that property being leased by somebody else?
We would challenge it. I mean, we intend to lease it as long as we own the deeded land. And so if there's, I think the process is when you get to the 5 years, somebody can put a bid in, and we would definitely challenge that.
Okay. Commissioners, any questions for Mr. Hazen?
Just for clarification, Mr. Hazen, for the audience that's out there, you control the actual grazing lease and the hunting lease, so There really isn't any public access at that point on that school section, correct?
That's my understanding of Colorado state land laws is we're the only ones that are allowed to graze it or hunt it.
With perhaps the exclusion of, Mr. Lucero made mention of a cemetery there.
On the map, it shows a Lucero cemetery, I think, down towards the creek. I'll be honest, I have not driven down there to even look and see if it's actually there, but it does show it on a map.
Sure. I have that, and so if there was anyone at 1 and 2, Mr. Camp is highlighting right now where that cemetery would be roughly located. Right around, let's see. I think it's right by the, what appears to be a lake there, Mr. Camp.
That's the section there.
Yeah, okay.
It's just north of the headquarters, looks like about a quarter of a mile.
Well, typically, there is separation, I apologize, I don't see.
I've never seen, normally there's a 2-acre fence or whatever, and headstones. I've never seen anything, but that doesn't mean it's not there.
Let me be redundant and ask this of Mr. Camp. Once we locate the cemetery of Mr. Lucero, is the gate going to be impeding anyone
No, sir.
to have access to that? Okay.
No, sir. The gate will be, they would be able to drive, if the cemetery is there, it's on the southern end of the state land.
Okay.
So they would be able to drive up to the gate and then go down the state land. There's no road there, I guess they could walk down the state fence to go to that cemetery.
Okay. We are able to locate that. And the reason of the question is that we don't want to, there were so many ancestral
Correct.
generational people that have lived around here, and certainly, if somebody's doing a genealogical search and they find out that their great somebody was buried there, that is such a sacred opportunity to go pay them a respectful visit, and that's one of the things. My concern would be that they would have access to the property, they would have access to do what they need to do, and as Mr. Camp said, that property probably is fenced off, should be, or at least identified by some, do you have an opportunity, Mr. Lucero, to actually identify that?
I've never seen them, if it's marked, I can't find the markers on there. So, I'm sure there's somebody buried there, but I can't tell you exactly where, because it's not fenced or anything.
Okay. So through the registry, Mr. Lucero, through the registry of Colorado Cemetery, there is not any record that indicates this is at such and such location?
No.
Okay.
And even if it was, we would allow access. We're not trying to restrict anybody's access to a cemetery. But I'm not aware, I've not seen one there. But
Mr. Hazen, thank you so much. Please remain in the room.
I have a couple questions for Mr. Hazen as well.
Yes.
So just to reiterate the fact that I mentioned about the county road, once it is vacated, it's a small section area. If you ever wanted to be redeemed as a county road, that you would be required and your fellow landowner to bring it up to county standards before the county would put it back on the inventory list, just so you're aware of that.
okay, yes, sir.
And then also, I'm not a big fan of vacating roads, ever have been, because of the loss of tax revenue, dollars. But in this particular case, I do also respect the property owner's concerns of having access to their farmhouse and their equipment. So having said that, I appreciate you bringing that before us here today and making sure that you did your checks and balances for all of the surrounding landowners in this state park. So thank you for your time today.
You bet, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Stay in the room and just to remind you that you will be sworn in until we close this particular public hearing.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Dorenkamp, do you show in your inventory this particular section of road receiving HUTF?
It does, Commissioner.
Thank you, sir. And it is 2,037 feet, just close to perhaps slightly under half a mile.
That is correct.
0.39 to be exact.
Yes, 0.39. Yes, thank you. Commissioner Haas? Commissioner Luis Lopez, any questions? Let me now go ahead and open up the floor for anyone at this point in time that would like to provide testimony against this particular portion of road being vacated. I'd like to ask a question of probably the owner, and since we have the sheriff. Come back, Mr. Hazen. Just popped to my mind, and I'm going to ask our sheriff also to be sworn in if I need to follow up a question. But in the event that we have an emergency and the gate is locked, and there's somebody dialing in a 911 service, how would law enforcement be able to access, or emergency services be able to access that property if the gate is locked?
I would leave that up to the sheriff. I assume he has what I call master keys, bolt cutters. He would be more than welcome to cut the lock, or we could provide the sheriff's department with it'll be a combination lock that we put on there. I have no problem providing the sheriff or the EMTs with the combination.
And again, that would be for public safety purposes, and in the event that somebody wanders back there within your property, they come through the public land and they end up on your property and that 911 call comes in, it might not even be anyone that you know, but if there is that need. So let me stand by. Sheriff, could you please come up and as our fire marshal and the San Luis County Sheriff, I think, please raise your right hand, sir.
Solemnly affirm under penalty of perjury, the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes.
Please state your name and position.
Derek Navarrete, Sheriff, Los Animas County.
Yes, sir. I guess the question is this kind of a normal question that I'm asking, normal procedure if you are having to respond to in the event of EMT or any kind of emergency for you to access the property you have by statute, I would imagine the Constitution, to access that to provide and render services to someone that is calling for them?
Yes, we have the right to access that property. Normally, if the homeowner or the resident is willing to give us a combination, we can lock that in with dispatch anytime we go up. If they give the call to dispatch, they can either give us that combo over our iPad service or our dispatch, so it's not aired. But we can get that combo if he's willing to give that to us.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. And this is more for protecting everyone that may have to, that may wander back there and get lost, and pretty soon they're calling for help and so on.
And with it being in dispatch, emergency services, EMTs, paramedics can access that combo as well if they need it. They just call in because they have the same access to our dispatch center.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. So, Mr. Hazen, if this project were to be approved, I would highly recommend to go ahead and get in contact with the sheriff to provide that combination, depending on what the outcome of this hearing is.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you both. So, once again, let me make one more call for anyone that would wish to provide testimony for against this particular section of road being vacated.
Just let me add one comment. I'm looking up the Lucero Cemetery on a different map that I do not have available on my laptop that we run the Zoom meetings on. It's showing And again, I need to stress, I haven't been out there, and Mr. Hazen has testified that he hasn't seen the cemetery either, but the information I've got on different maps shows that actually the Cerro Cemetery is in section 1. I don't know if that's factual or not.
Put the map up again, Mr. Recap, and highlight section 1 there.
But my understanding, and this would, I guess, be a question for council, but I believe even on private property, people are permitted to access cemeteries, family cemeteries. So I don't know if that would play into your decision or not.
And that was my question earlier, that's why I wanted to identify that in the event that somebody's doing the genealogical research and they find out whether it's on public or private property, I think to me, the importance would be for that family to have access to pay their homage and reverence to their loved one.
So if I may add to both your concerns as a Board of Health member, we've had this issue brought up to us before. The health department issues the permits for the burials and stuff, and we had some concerns regarding private land cemeteries and having access to them. And one, for example, is in your district, Chairman, owned by Sam Lopez, and there is public access to it year-round, but it is on private property. So he does allow that. And by, I believe, there is a state statute that says whether these older property or cemeteries are on private property, that they still must have a lot of access to them. So we can go into executive session if you'd like to confer with legal counsel, if you'd like, to make sure your concern is addressed.
Very good. Since we didn't have anyone in opposition of this particular public hearing, I would like to call for a quick executive session.
So moved.
Second the motion.
Commissioner Hess?
Yes.
Commissioner Luis Lopez?
Yes.
Commissioner Luis Lopez?
Yes, and if you all just wait around, we'll come out and have a decision.
Sure.
Recording stopped.